This is Browny's Podcast!
Welcome to Browny's Podcast. In the studio, back from foggy London town, Campbell.
Great to be here. It was a fun trip. I tell you what.
Jeez, we missed you.
Oh, we did, man.
Did we? Like, we really. I even flew down for this today.
Thanks, JP.
I know my name's on the podcast emblem and all that sort of stuff, but I was going to say on the Goldie, Dino, enjoy the sun, enjoy the crisp, beautiful beach.
Crisp.
But then I heard Dog was back, and I thought, no, I've got to get on a bird.
And
I'm going to get my ass back down to see this man in the flesh. This beautiful man.
I feel fresh. I listened to the podcast on the flight home on Saturday night.
Bucks is good, eh?
He was great.
Yeah.
But clearly it missed me, and I know that. So.
Well, it's interesting, though, because I did look at that. I didn't have a chance to listen back to it.
Yeah.
But I did notice that it went for about double the normal length. It went for 53 minutes.
More substance.
So, a lot more substance, I would have thought. Probably lucky we actually got there because, Bucks.
Yeah.
Bucks, as you know, Nova, where we do record it, has moved. Bucks rings me from the elevator. He goes, "What level is it again?" I thought, fuck, there's only one level here at the new one. And I said, "Mate, it's the one at, are you at the one on Clarendon Street?" He goes, "Oh, no, we're at Victoria Street."
He went to Richmond.
Well done, Bucks.
He went to Richmond. He was running late. Then he went to the wrong one in Richmond.
Head knocks.
We had to wait. To me, head knocks, I think.
CTE. By the way,
Gotta check it.
he raised a really good point on players should just sign a waiver before playing AFL footy.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And it's probably the way that the AFL will head with all this head trauma issues that are going on.
Back to England.
So we get over there on the Friday. We're all excited. We go for a long lunch and drinks with Eddie Maguire, a fellow member of the Carbine Club, which was nice.
And his boys I saw on the photo.
Yeah,
What-
Xander and Joe, great young men.
dudes?
Yeah, bloody oath they are. Joe's trying out to be a kicker over in college in the States. He's going really
wicked,
well.
yeah.
He's going really well.
Xander's a little clone of Eddie.
He is.
He's a
Little
junior
journo.
at Journo.
So the Saturday, right,
Yeah.
I wake up a little bit dusty
Yeah.
and I go, you know what? My mate's still asleep. I might go put the joggers on and go down to Buckingham Palace and just take a selfie with Buckingham Palace. So I must have been
Exercise / a bit of tourism.
a bit of walking
Gotcha.
and take it. That's all I wanted. I get down to Buckingham Palace and there are hundreds of thousands of people, right? Hundreds of thousands. The whole road's roped off. There's a heap of security.
Not like the coronation.
I'm going to myself, hell, this Buckingham Palace is a popular place for tourists.
Yeah.
I didn't realise that I'd walk down there smack bang in the middle of King's birthday celebrations.
Oh, no shit.
They did the procession down the street and all got on Buckingham Palace's balcony and all did the wave and everything. It was a proper big thing, televised live right around the country. And here I was, the only person in London completely oblivious.
Did you go out the back and have a look at the stables?
I
Because they've got
wasn't
the
allowed
stables out the back.
Yeah.
He had a couple of horses running in the races over there.
Oh, have you seen King Charles's sausage fingers? We've got to talk about them for a second.
Yes.
They're
They're
the
like
most
BTs.
high-pressured fingers. Like if a fork got anywhere near them, sausage juice would piss out, John.
Who's got more sausage fingers, bigger sausage fingers? BT, Shane Warne, or King Charles?
Great
King
question.
Charles. King Charles.
Really?
Yeah, his fingers
He's
are
got
fucked.
Warney covered.
Oh, mate, his fingers are as bad as they get.
Now that's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Feel sorry for Camilla. Went out to Royal Ascot.
Yeah, because they're heavy. I don't know.
Well,
No, just when he's
keep going.
holding her
That's
hand,
it.
walking down the street.
that's
Well, no,
it.
they couldn't get the wedding. Camilla couldn't get the wedding ring on
That's
his
why
finger.
we feel sorry for
Yeah,
it.
and when he holds his hand out and she's got to get
Exactly.
down
Yeah,
out of
exactly.
I think we're
a
covered. now.
carriage.
I think we're covered.
Royal Ascot, that's the reason I went.
Yeah.
That's the reason I went. The races, Coolangatta was a little bit disappointing, but if you're a lover of racing, you got to get to Royal Ascot. Even if you don't love horse racing, but you just love getting dressed up and the pomp of a big occasion.
Top hat?
It is magnificent. Got the top hat and tails. I
How
just
much?
hired one from over there. It's fucking expensive.
Yeah.
How much does the hire cost?
Well, for one day to hire it, it's like £340.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So when you say one day, is it like the Melbourne Cup Carnival where it's 4 race days? Or
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So it goes
Yeah,
for
5 in
5
a row.
days.
Bet, can
And
you do the math on £340? Don't ruin this for me. I needed an AUD.
I think- Well, depending on where you converted your money,
1,700.
it was like 44 at the Melbourne airport. It was 40 at Doha.
Fuck.
per Australian dollar. So it's expensive stuff. It really is. But got the top hat and tail on, and you all go out there and the races and the King's carriage down the straight to start the day.
It's 647 Australian dollar.
Thieves,
Really?
mate. Absolute
Jesus
thieves.
Christ.
You'd be better off buying
Yes.
them and just
Taking it over with
bring
you.
it back and forth because
Yeah.
it'll probably go back
Sorry.
again.
Yes.
But the funny thing was, like, everyone's got their top hat and tails, and they all look the same, right? Black or grey.
What,
top
so
hat.
even the outer? So it's not just the members. Like, do they even have an outer there?
Not really. Everyone gets dressed up in top hat and tails.
Okay.
Everyone. It's just their thing. Right? It's a very English thing. And I didn't think much of it. You know, top hat is a top hat.
Yeah.
There looked like there were some more polished top hats than others, but it's like the baggy green, right? You just look at someone and go, oh, yeah, he's worn that top hat, you know, a little bit more, 70 tests as opposed to...
Yep.
I bump into Jason Richardson.
No shit.
Who's doing some work over there on Channel 7 for racing.com and everything. And the first thing he said, he goes, how good does my top hat look? I said, mate, looks great. How good does my top hat look, right? And he looks at me, he says, my top hat, £5,000 across. Right, £5,000. And obviously he didn't buy it. He was given it for the occasion. And he said it's like a secret society. Only people that know top hats and own really expensive top hats
Know a
can look
good
at
top
another
hat.
one and go, oh, he's got that nice top hat on.
That's an 11,000 AUD top hat. That's bullshit.
Mate, I wouldn't be taking the tag off
Frightfully
it.
posh.
No.
If I was wearing a $5,000 tag,
Yeah.
that tag would be fucking swinging out the back.
Mate, they
I'd
reckon-
walk around the races.
No matter how pissed you get at Royal Ascot, you can lose your wallet, you can lose your watch, you can lose your shoes, you can lose everything. Don't lose your top hat.
So there's no traditions during the 5 days where you throw your top hat in the air, like if you had a winner.
I didn't see anyone throwing theirs in the air. So
Now,
it's locked
tell
on.
me honestly, up or down financially, race-wise? Honestly.
mate, over there, it was a bloodbath. The bookies won every single
Cleaned up.
day. There were
No faves.
$100 pops winning, $30 pops, a couple of faves won, but it was a carnival absolutely dominated by the bookies.
Didn't King Charles win a major race? One of his horses?
Did they? I'm
I
not
think
too
it
sure.
may have. Because the Queen famously had a lot of horses, and now King Charles owns them.
But yeah, no, it was a good trip.
Sweet.
It was short and sharp, and I'm jet lagged but
Any sort of, extra activities going on? Like,
Horseplay.
did you enjoy yourself? I know you probably enjoyed a couple of beers.
most nights we
You-
went out and had a crack.
You're known for your vaping as well, and
Yeah,
gather around
actually.
as well. Any of that going on?
I mean, it's so easy over there because there's vaping shops, and it's not illegal like here. You can vape anywhere you want. So I must admit, I did buy a couple of watermelon ice vapes.
Are you hooked? Be honest. Are you thinking
Mate,
about it when you're not vaping?
I'm not the only person hooked. Vaping is the biggest thing I've ever seen.
Really?
Every
I know.
single person vapes over there. Even if you don't vape, they grab a vape off you and have a toke.
What about so if you're in a function room, similar to the gather round where you're in the AFL function room, did you feel the need to spark up a vape?
I
or-
did, yeah.
Spark up a vape.
Yeah.
Light it up.
We vaped everywhere we went. And I'm stopping as of now. I've made the conscious decision. No more vape dog.
Yeah,
Be
this
honest
works.
with me. You don't have one on you right now, right?
I left it over there. I was going to bring a heat back.
But have you found yourself in the car thinking, fuck, I'd love a toke on a vape?
Yes.
Doug was checking the toilets in the plane on the way home, going, I wonder if those things will really go off.
John,
these alarms.
this is like the 60s when everyone was smoking everywhere.
Absolutely, everyone was smoking, but the vape's taking over. It's a bit of a concern with. I know my daughter's school.
Yeah.
I've noticed up in Queensland, they've now on the toilet blocks. They've got the walls.
Anti-vape tech.
Well, yeah, it's just mesh. So you look in, and obviously the cubicles have privacy, but you can look in from outside. I presume the teachers or the supervisors, they can look into the toilet block, and the walls are just mesh. So the kids don't go in there and just
Really?
vape. Yeah, so that's obviously the new technology, Dano, the way they're building the new
Becky, vaping
toilets.
after a couple of drinks, do you have a toke?
A share.
Mate,
A share.
you're the
Everyone.
only person, you square, that I haven't seen.
I'm an
Not
old
you, Ben.
school.
Jonathan.
Mate, I'm an old school Winnie Red man. I just still like to challenge the body every now and again. Tell you what else has been popular of late, especially if you watch AFL players, getting a tattoo. Now, Doc, did you or did you not get a tattoo?
I did. Yeah.
Of what?
of a horse. I immortalised Sweet Idea. She obviously won a Group 1 back in 2015, and a bit like a premiership tattoo. You know, you always say, if you win a premiership, you'll get one. And I never got around to getting the horse tattoo.
What body part?
On my left arse cheek. So now I've got a hawk on my right and a horse on my left, and I fell asleep during the tattooing part of it, so which apparently is pretty rare, especially your ass has got the most sensitive parts.
Dog, did you fall asleep because you were drunk?
No, I was just tired. I was just tired.
I tell you what would have looked good. It'd be a nice addition beside Sweet Idea, because of course, famously, Sweet Idea when she won the Magic Means, Dino, Brown Dog famously was incarcerated that evening.
Yeah, I was thinking about putting some prison bars next to it, but
mate, you should have put your serial number from your headshot.
How did you get locked up again?
Misunderstanding.
We're not talking about this?
No, it was a misunderstanding. We've spoken about it. I was set up by the Queensland Coppers.
At least you had plenty of bail money. With all the winnings.
One more thing, what's Eddie like on the drink?
That's great. Yeah, Eddie's good fun. He's very relaxed, actually, customer, so I get on really well with him.
Hey, welcome back, you son gun.
Did you miss me?
Mal got a bit of a run when you were away.
Did he?
Absolutely. We're gonna speak it later on in the pod about this footage of you harassing Gary Ablett Jr. You're both kids. It's an under-18 state game, is that right?
It is, yeah. I actually saw it online when the front bar posted it when I was at the races, which was Friday night our time. Must have been Saturday, I don't know, whatever day it was.
We'll get to it. Any footy over there? Did you keep an eye on the footy?
Yeah, kept an eye on the footy. Eagles are bad.
Oh, really? I hadn't noticed. Thanks for... what round have we just seen, Jonathan?
15.
All right, this is the round 15 round in review. Imagine the endorphins you get as a Collingwood fan. The last 2 years they keep winning thrillers at the goddamn MCG. That's a lot of good times, John. A lot of partying in the stands. Yes?
I'd actually like to be a Collingwood supporter.
I know, it sucks.
Hey?
They're flying.
It's unfair. They're always f***ing thrillers.
Who would have thought you'd want to be a Collingwood supporter or a Port Adelaide supporter?
I know.
There's got to be some stat about winning games under 10 points. And like how many they've won in the last 2 years. It's phenomenal.
I think they've won 11 of 15. When they've been behind at three-quarter time.
Finals, though, last year that they didn't win.
Yeah, ironically.
I don't know if karma is real, but all I'm saying is, since Joffa and Eddie left, Lady Luck keeps rimming them. West Coast continue their premiership charge. I understand the situation the Eagles are in personnel-wise, but to lose by that margin and all of these margins consistently is a special brand of hell. To be so uniquely ineffective seems almost harder than trying.
Did you watch it Saturday afternoon against the Swans?
No, I did watch it.
I don't like the West Coast Eagles getting compared to Fitzroy. You know why?
Why?
Because the Roys played with heart. They had no resources or money.
Absolutely. That's the problem. West Coast are the richest team in the competition, don't they?
9 players under 21 is something, but I know. Hey. I know what you're going to say, and I'm with you. I agree. This is a special kind of useless.
A special kind of use. Is it because they've been living in a glass house for too long, don't they? They forget what's going on in the footy world, or they think they're better than everyone.
To watch your opponent score tick over more than 200 points, honestly, that seems harder than being shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I actually feel for Adam Simpson. Because he's a fantastic coach, premiership coach.
Mate.
I'd like to thank Dom Sheed for, but he's a premiership coach. I think he's a smart football man. You know, there was Simo there at Hawthorn when you were there.
I just missed him, but I know him well.
Yeah, but he's got no talent at his disposal. At the moment. There's a lot of injuries.
Stringer and Pickett kicked 2 sick volley goals. You guys see both of them?
Yep.
I love those goals. Stringer's a gun, and Pickett gave the old shush to the crowd after he kicked his. Hey. Absolutely beautiful speech by Chief in the middle of the huddle in the middle of Marvel Stadium.
Well spoken, Chief. Yeah, he's great. He's very good at that. He can get up and make a speech off the cuff, or he can write out a beautiful speech like he did on the weekend.
Highly intelligent man, Chief.
It's a beautiful thing the AFL does, shining a light on mental health.
He's a magnificent man, and also, the two magnificent men. He was paying tribute to a magnificent man in Spud. I love what they're doing about Spud's game. Unfortunately, St Kilda didn't win. Didn't beat but I just think the way they've done it and the awareness that's come about.
Yeah.
has been really good. And unfortunately, Spud lost his life to bring that awareness, but what a magical man he was.
Mentored me, Spud, for 3 years. That he was a part-time assistant coach at the Hawks.
I didn't know that.
7, 8 and 9.
Yeah.
And they're the best 3 years of my career.
It's a reminder that that's why other rounds like Pride Round and the Indigenous Round are a beautiful thing. They let people know they aren't alone or they're weird. You know what I'm saying?
Inclusivity.
Woke stuff annoys people, right? Woke stuff annoys people. For
Especially
example,
me.
the Bombers changing that logo, that's choose your battles. That seems very dumb, yes?
Couldn't agree more.
But some people chuck like Pride Round into the woke basket.
Different.
Different.
Well, the Bombers one is because some of their supporters don't like being aligned to bombers,
Yeah,
as in bomber planes.
We can-
because of the
we're smart enough
the
to know that.
connotations of war.
We're smart to know.
Jesus Christ.
Hey, our brains are good enough to realise that they're not endorsing terrorism, John.
Did you see that drunken tweet that I posted about that?
No.
Oh, I like that.
I was in London,
Yeah?
and
please.
I can't believe you didn't see this. I said, rubber bullets next time we go to war. God forbid someone gets hurt.
Oh, there it is!
Well done.
Hey, Collingwood is still it, right?
Collingwood's awesome to watch. They're great. Like, a couple of reasons we love them. Probably 3 reasons. The way they play, like they're the comeback kids. Their coach, Craig McRae, and Nick Dacos. He's just unbelievable, isn't he?
Son of a bitch.
Like, he played 100% midfield on the weekend, all centre bounces. He was just unbelievable. And I'm going to show some stuff on the couch tonight. He's tremendously courageous as well, which is underrated because a player of that much skill and silk probably doesn't often get to get regarded as courageous.
Yeah.
But he's equally as courageous as he's skillful.
You know how they say football's 90% your brain? I reckon it's a goddamn 100% your brain. His body is not...
Well, he's an elite
phenomenal.
athlete.
Of course,
Yeah.
given.
Yeah.
But
Good
it's
runner.
all thinking. You've got to think. It's thinking. It's intelligence.
This is a kid that's grown up loving the game, obviously, with his old man going to watch Collingwood play, being in the rooms, living and breathing footy, and you just inherently learn patterns to run. And,
Yes. Good.
the way that smart footy brains work. Like, it's
A good mentor to have.
Bloody
The old
hell.
man. Just quickly, before we go on with the footy stuff, leave the footy stuff, the bye rounds. Spread over 4 weekends, so the split round, so every club got a rest. It was a f***ing nightmare.
Agreed,
It's
John.
been so drawn out for the month. I think all footy fans would agree. Let's just condense it. 1, 2 maximum weekends. I actually liked when they had Collingwood Sydney. Now, maybe not Collingwood Sydney, but you have a marquee game, and then the other 8 games are played the following weekend. Why don't we have Collingwood Carlton, or I don't know, just a big marquee game on a Friday night. Then the rest of that weekend we celebrate community and country football. Put a big focus on that. Maybe invite some leagues to come up and have a couple of games at MCG or a couple of games at Marvel Stadium, but just really celebrate because community and country football has done it tough post-COVID.
Yeah, man.
To get that support. So I think it's a great opportunity we could do that, Dino, and then everyone gets their rest
Here's another thing.
and we don't lose momentum.
No. And during the bye rounds, why do we have Thursday night games when there's less games?
Well, exactly right.
Let's keep Thursday nights when we've got proper rounds, Campbell.
good point.
I'm angry.
I don't know why they're doing it, Dino, so I'm not sure. Hopefully it's a better reason than, so some of the executives can go over to Europe
Yeah,
for a
'cause
few weeks.
I did bump into Gil McLaughlin
Did ya?
at Royal Ascot.
Bullshit, did
He
you?
was there. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Was he partying?
So we had a
vape?
We had a James Bogues together.
No shit.
James Bogues over there.
Well, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. He went to the bar and I said, grab me a Malibu pineapple, and he came back and said there aren't any, so we had a Bogues. And I hate beer, but when you're drinking with the CEO of the AFL,
Any Foster's Lagers still over there? Remember Foster's
No,
Lager
no
was
Foster's.
huge.
Hey, do you have a money clip at Royal Ascot? Is that what people roll? Money clips?
they would. Yeah, there was no
Gil have
money in the
ones?
money clips after the punt though.
Did you get yourself in a bind at all over there at the trip?
No, I actually didn't. I was
Yeah?
pretty well behaved. Yeah, I was.
Did you get refused entry to any establishments?
No.
did you have to name drop to get into any establishment?
Honest?
No. We had some nice dinners booked, and I didn't really kick on to nightclubs and stuff, which was disappointing. I thought I'd have a couple of massive ones,
Same.
but one of the guys I was with, he wrote himself off a couple of times and lost a couple of days. Like completely didn't leave his hotel room for days.
Did you take the lilac shirt with you that you took to the Super Bowl?
I sent you a pic.
The famous Las Vegas
It came back out.
lilac shirt, LA.
LA.
LA lilac shirt with Brad Blanks, who was over there from New York.
So it cleaned up okay after the Super Bowl trip.
Yeah, it took a few washings, but we finally got there.
Did it any... Sorry.
No, did you go to the Ashes?
I couldn't make it.
All right.
No, because Edgbaston is a 2.5 hour train ride.
Right.
And I thought I might go on day 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And day 5 fell on the day that I went to Royal Ascot. That was the great run chase.
Yep.
I would have loved
Would have
to
been
have been
unbelievable.
there. It would have been one of the great moments, but it fell on the day I was going to the races.
Did at any stage, actually, on the way home, did you look back on the trip with any sense of regret? Of one event, of one interaction with a person,
Any lament?
of one lost bet? There's every trip there is some regret there. There is some lament.
Tell us.
I always look back on the night that I called it quits early. And when I say that, it might have been 2
What
a.m.
happened?
and I might have been blind.
Yeah.
And it might have been on day 5 when you're just running on fumes.
But you had more.
But when you get on that plane flying back and you're starting to feel a bit better, you're starting to fly back to reality, work and family and children and everything. I always say to myself, could have just gone a fraction harder. and the reality is I probably couldn't have.
Yeah, true.
But that's how I always feel.
You know what he lamented?
Yeah.
Going home to his family.
Ads. Back in a second.
This is Brownie's Podcast.
Welcome back to Brownie's Podcast. The whole band's back together. Campbell's
Great
back
to be
from
back.
foggy London town.
One of the most up things that I saw via social media while I was over there, because obviously the time difference, 9 hours, and it was hard to keep up with everything going on. But the game on Thursday night between Melbourne and the Cats, it looked like a cracking game. I was keeping track of the scores and also what was happening via Twitter, and it hit the Twitter feed. The crunching hit from Gary Rowan on Jeremy Cameron and disaster. He's been subbed out, whatnot. And then it immediately transferred into a subject that I've never heard in my whole life, right? About if the AFL are feeding him about head knocks, that Gary Rowan needs to be cited and suspended for his bump on a teammate. Now, I know 2023, we're at all levels of ludicrous, right? But that could just about top it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It was suggested by some people, not a lot of people.
No,
it
but
was suggested
respected
by some.
journos
Yeah.
at Tim Lane and people like this saying that, hang on, like he's braced for impact, he's made contact to the head, and even though it's friendly fire, the AFL, if they are wanting to really stamp out concussions and everything, he needs to be charged. I'm thinking to myself, oh my God.
I think it was a
what-
reasonable point to speculate as to whether, if that was an opposition player, as to whether
Yes.
that player would get suspended.
And he definitely would.
And I think he would actually. And that
because-
just shows the amount of luck involved. Doesn't it, Dino? Especially when there's no intent or malice there.
It
Football
proves-
accidents happen.
It proves that things can look nasty and malicious
Yeah.
when they're not.
Well, if you're doing it to your own teammate, and clearly accidents happen on footy fields because there's no one on earth you would have done it. But I think that is peak 2023 journalism at its absolute top.
Looking for
Because,
something to say.
oh, mate, absolutely outrageous.
No, it was.
Outrageous.
They were impressive, the Cats. Because that was Cameron gone, their best player gone in the first few minutes. Their other best player not playing, Patrick Dangerfield, and they really put it on in that last quarter and took the. So I think if I'm picking a team from outside the top 8
Yeah.
to make the finals, I think it's the Cats.
So Tigers, Freo, Geelong, Adelaide, all hovering around there. Would you say Richmond and
mate,
Freo no chance?
I think from 5 to 14, Dino, is really, really tight. If you actually look at the teams and the percentages, but if you put it on me and said you've got to take one from outside the 8 to come in at the end of the year, it would be Geelong.
It's a big scalp.
Yeah, that's a big one. So it'll be interesting to see. That's a good part of the ladder to look at the moment, 5 to 14.
Hey, I love it when journos do stories on payments, player payments, how much people are getting paid.
And I'm staunchly against this, by the way. I think in football, you don't have the right to a lot of privacy. Once you get drafted, obviously become a public figure and you get scrutinised on field and off field from behaviour and form and everything.
But people are obsessed with it.
I do think that there's one part of yourself that you should be able to keep sacred.
Yeah.
And that's your pay.
I don't know, man, but like movie stars go through this as well. Why is that all public knowledge?
Yeah, well, the American sports stars.
Everyone
it's
knows.
all public. Everyone knows. And maybe culturally we're just not accepting of it. The wages aren't as big here in Australia comparative to overseas. I'm with you, Dog. I don't see a lot of benefit in it, apart from the
Clickbaits.
the clickbait and the curiosity for the public and all that sort of stuff. I don't see the upside in it, really, because as long as the AFL knows, so there's no rules getting broken, and obviously they can check the salary cap.
Are they
I don't
accurate,
see-
these stories? Did they ever get your payments, your salaries right back in your day?
No.
Well,
Never.
it wasn't as big back then, but now they put a hell of a lot of work in it. The News Corp journos, they obviously ring a lot of people from clubs and their sources, and they try and collate the information. They, potentially have some source in around the AFL. So, like, for instance, Dusty they put as number one. I think that's universally recognised. Dusty, Nat Fyfe, number two.
Yep.
That was no surprise. So it goes all the way through to guys on about 1.2 to 1.3. It looks like there's about probably a handful of guys on over $1 million. Now, the salary cap's going to go up significantly over the next few years. So we'll probably see 20 to 30 guys at $1 million plus a season. So
Just because of inflation.
That'll become a normal. Yeah, because of inflation, all those sorts of things. So it's quite interesting. I look at it though, Dino, the one that stood out for me as a fan, you're a big West Coast fan, you would look at the West Coast Eagles.
Yeah.
And you see 5 guys in the top 50.
Oh, man.
5 in the top 50.
Five-
Is that the most out of any
Oh,
club?
man.
McGovern and Kelly in the top 10. Then Yo, Gaff and Darling also in the top 50 as well. So
Hey.
that makes up 10% of the league's
Nick Nat. What
top
about Nick
50
Nat?
players.
Nick Nat in there?
Nick Nat wasn't in there, actually, so I couldn't find Nick Nat unless I was skipping over the top of him. But Nick Nat, you would have thought would be in reasonable pay as well. But you look at that's 10%, Dino, of the highest paid players in the league play for the West Coast Eagles, and then they get beaten by
Their
70,
salary cap's
170
cooked.
points on
The
the weekend.
worst.
How does it make you feel as a fan? Because as a player, I was never jealous or envious of other players. So and even now I look at it and go, yeah, good on them, good luck to them. But as a fan,
Yeah.
does that create resentment?
No, I'm confused and annoyed because we are very rich as a club. We're Perth wankers, so we've got a lot of that mining cash.
Yeah.
And we've got
Gina
a lot
Reinhardt
of members. Reinhardt's.
But everyone's got the same salary cap, though.
That's a
Doesn't
good
matter
point.
if you're from a mining cash town or not.
I'm just... No,
Twiggy Forest
no,
cash.
I don't get Twiggy cash. I don't care, man, at all. I'm just angry that any team that goes through a rebuild doesn't do it this messily. And yes, this one was sprung on us. We had 9 players under the age of 21. Even Cripper, when he started playing, it took him years to become Cripper. Am I wrong? Any player takes
it
years.
took it, yeah.
So we've got 9 players going through this clunky pubescent phase. We're just
Essendon won a premiership in 93 with a similar number of players under 21.
no
mate.
excuses. I'm just saying that is a lot of players under 21. That's a lot of children playing at a pace that they've never seen before. But our senior players, Dom Sheed, I saw some damning footage of them just ball watching.
Yeah.
It's wild.
They were jogging. I was going to call them the West Coast Joggers on the weekend. And the problem was it was in the
Unbelievable.
first quarter, Dino. So
Yes.
9 goals to 1 in the first quarter for the Sydney Swans.
Is it contagious? Like, is shit footy contagious?
Yes, it is, because the confidence is clearly shot.
Yeah.
And then you just start looking after your own backyard. So if you're a defender, you're just thinking, okay, I'm just going to beat my man because we're getting hammered, and at least then I can say, okay, I did this. So you don't run, create, leave your man to help others.
Yeah.
Same with the midfielders. They start stat padding. The forwards are thinking, hell, if we're only going to kick 5 goals a game, I'm going to make sure I kick a couple of them because, and it just builds like selfish
These
footy.
senior players have lost hope. Clearly they've lost hope, no doubt about it. So with that, you lose effort. But they know what they're going to get every week. They know they're undermanned. They're playing with a lot of younger players. So you have to have a level of pride, Dino, as
Yeah.
a professional, especially guys who are on big money. Now, I'm not trying to attach this to your pay.
No.
But just being a senior player, you've got to have a greater level of pride, especially early in games, because you know what you're in for. So their legacy now, or the important part for those West Coast senior players, is lead by example.
Yes.
And when I see guys just jogging around making no defensive effort, or no ability to put pressure on the, or no want to put a pressure on the opposition in the first 20 minutes of a game, when you're fresh and you're a professional athlete, there's no excuse for that, Dino.
I went to the pub hoping we'd lose by under 30 points, which is pretty reasonable, I think, right? 171 is on another planet.
That's bad.
That's insanity.
Well, it's starting to impact the integrity of the competition because Sydney jumped 18%. You know, that's the difference now. That could be the difference in Sydney making the finals. It's going to shape the bottom end of the finals.
The great David King made a very good point. I reckon for the Eagles, all the game plan has to go out the window for the rest of the season, and they're just going to play man-on-man football to get used to the tempo of AFL.
Yeah, and to get used to having a bit of man accountability as well.
Right.
And
just the rest of the season.
King's obviously tight with Adam Simpson, played in premierships together, so he would probably talk to him regularly.
Rest of the year, just do that. I just want to see some fight.
Yeah, well, you just want to be competitive. But, I'm not I would have hated as a player people not publicly knowing what I was on.
Right.
But in saying that, it probably would have worked in my favour a little bit because the very first thing people assumed when I signed with the Gold Coast was, you went there for the money.
Yeah.
The truckloads of cash they threw at you, right?
No shame in that, by the way, I didn't think.
Yeah, but that is so far off the narrative of why I went there, right? Because I got given $450,000 a year.
Right.
Now, that's going back to 2011, right?
It's about league average now.
Okay.
It's league average. There's players running around in the twos each week that are on $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, right? So when you actually compare what I was on at Hawthorn and what I was offered on the Gold, the money was better, but it's not life-changing money.
Gotcha.
You know, the 100 odd grand a year, 150 grand a year a season is cool.
John, what
So
was
450 would have got you a long way on the Gold Coast back in those days. Probably's gone up a bit since then.
Yeah, Hollywoods have got me a long way to Hollywoods.
Bear in mind, you're a Hall of Famer. You're goddamn Jonathan Brown.
Exactly, and I was
Thank you, Dino.
I was a back pocket, right? So everything's relative. But
What was your biggest contract?
My biggest yearly wage would have been about $850.
That's
Between
criminal.
$8 and $850.
You've got hacks getting $1 million these days.
Well, I wouldn't say hacks.
Hacks!
But yeah,
Well,
that would have been, and
not
that was a
medalists.
good wage back then.
True.
You know,
Inflation.
so there would have been a few players up around then. Like Dwayne Carey was on $1 million in the 90s.
Yeah.
Now Wayne Carey was another level. Like,
Yeah.
you know, he's the Dusty Martin type impact of a game.
Wasn't Kuda the first one to hit $1 million?
Kuda was on big money.
Kuda was on massive money. You know, he really exploded. Vossi was on big money. James Herb was on big money. But, yeah, that was the most I was on, Dino, in a season.
Wow.
I can't remember. It might have been for a couple of years.
Interesting.
But I had dog covered.
Yeah, mate. Well, a double. But I tell you the one thing that struck me with this, right? $850,000 a year is really good money for a footballer. But not many players actually retire from the game and make it's more than JB does with what he's doing in Brecky Radio.
Hey, some
and
players have to learn a trade.
He's actually taken a pay cut to retire.
You retired and bought 10 jet skis. What is that?
That's unbelievable.
Thanks for acknowledging that, Brando. Turn his mic off there.
Hey, all right. Before the ads, I want to talk about this footage that the front bar pulled up of Gary.
I remember it vividly.
Okay, so picture it. Beck, we're going to put this online, right? Because the footage is gold. Yes?
Yep.
Okay, so it's Gary Ablett Jr. playing in the under-18s country versus City.
Yep.
Yeah.
Vic Metro versus Vic Countries.
And there's a close-up on Gary Ablett. And then all of a sudden you see this mosquito come up to him, just hammering his ear, just talking a lot of shit, and it's our man.
It's me. It was me. And I'll give you the background, right?
Nothing's changed, has it?
No.
Like it's 25 years ago.
Yes.
Your personality has not changed one bit.
Do you remember what you were saying to him?
I vividly remember the whole lead up to it. So I was lucky to make the Vic squad just to start with. They picked 25. The last night of training, there was 3 to get cut out at Victoria Park, and I was the last person called over by David Dixon, and I thought he was going to cut me exactly like he did in 2000.
So you had a bit of trauma.
In the
You
under
thought
si-
it's happening again.
He was the coach of the under-16 Vic Metro team, and on the last night of training, he called me over, and I was the last person to get cut. Didn't make it.
Mate, I was the same for the Vic Country team. Under 16's last bloke to get cut.
So we did make it.
And cried all the way home back to
Quickly,
Warrnambool.
as young men, were you thinking my career's over?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then so
cooked.
fast forward 2 years later, 2001.
Wouldn't have been
my
on
top
850
age.
a few years later.
Fast forward.
He's the coach now of the 18s, the under 18s. So he's gone from under 16 Vic Metro to under 18 Vic Metro.
Oh, no.
And again, played some trials, got picked. They cut it from 50 to 40 to 30 to 28. Last night, there's 3 to go. I see him talk to one, cut them. I see him talk to another, cut them. He calls me over and we have this conversation. He said, mate, son, I'm going to pick you, right? So I'm pumped, but I've squeezed into the team by the skin of my teeth.
But you're in.
I'm in. Then we play Western Australia, and I sit on the pine for the whole first half, and Ash Sampi runs right. And he comes up to me at halftime, he says, we're going to put you on Ash Sampi, nullify him, right? So I go and I do that.
Did you get in his head?
I just absolutely destroyed him.
Physical.
Because Sampi, he's from country. He wouldn't have ever experienced such a fast-talking psychopath.
Yes.
That was the great thing about you, Dog, because you can play small and tall as well, apart from when you played on Daniel Bradshaw.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He kicked 8 on me. So then with the Wednesday, we go down to Geelong and we play South Australia. And I play on a burglar, not Sean or Peter, but a cousin of. And he was a really dangerous small forward. And I destroy him, right? So going into the last game,
You're very humble back in those days.
the Sunday, it is the final Vic Country, Vic Metro. The lead-in was we played before the Richmond and Hawthorn game at the MCG. It's the first time I'd ever been onto the MCG. And David Dixon comes up to me and says, mate, you're playing on Gary Ablett Jr., right? And I absolutely destroy him. It was a wet, cold, slippery day. It was shit conditions for a small forward and perfect conditions for me.
Truly, you destroyed him.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
But he must have won the player of the carnival, Dog, by his assessment.
And so late in the game, I go up to him and I was telling him about how poor he'd performed, right, and how bad he'd gone. And he turned to me and he said, yeah, mate, 'cause he didn't even know my name, right? He goes, yeah, mate, well, I'm already drafted father-son to the Cats. We'll see how far you go with your career, right? And I was like, oh, yeah, good on you, hero, blah, 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 blah. And
this is exactly what you're saying to him in this video.
Correct, in this video, right? He goes on to play 357 games, wins 2 flags, wins 2 Brownlows. He was an All-Australian 8 times, 5 Lee Matthews trophies. He's arguably the greatest to have ever played it. So,
but on that day,
I might have gone a bit early.
On that day, though,
you
cut him up.
That day I did.
And on that day in 2008 too,
Yeah.
against him, you cut him up as well.
And we both
should have
ended
won
up-
the Norm Smith that day, shouldn't you?
Well, I was thereabouts, but I'm very humble. We both ended up on the Gold Coast. He was captain, I was vice captain, and it's funny how the footy journey sort of works.
That's wild. Ads back in a second.
This is Brownie's Podcast.
This is Brownie's podcast.
How's the bus trip looking? To go up and watch Bucks.
Man, I think the bus is full.
Really?
Now, 'cause-
July 23. It's a Sunday, standalone game up there.
I'm stressing out because Brody's gone on his honeymoon now. So what's all the admin? I've got all these questions. Who do I
Yeah.
speak to, man? Who do I speak
Well,
to?
yeah, we're going to have to get on to something. You're going to have to put a boy on. Beck, do you know anyone? No.
Don't, unfortunately.
I want a
Don't know who's
karaoke machine for the way
Yeah,
home.
yeah, we
Not
need
on the
that.
way there because everyone's so nervous. On the way home, John, they're a bit lubed up.
What's
you know what I mean?
Dog's code to karaoke again? You've got
Take me back.
Take Me Back.
Yeah,
Take Noise
Noise
Works.
Works. Johnny Stevens. So we want you up the front of the bus, Dog. Take Me Back on the way home.
So, okay, the bus is pretty much full. We've got a mix of men and women. We've got some WhatsApp favourites. We've got
Yeah.
people flying in. We've got a lady from Tassie flying
Wow.
We tried to balance up the bus with a few more
I
females.
think that's appropriate.
For no other reason,
Yes.
but just for equality. And just for a bit more fun, because it's a sausage fest otherwise.
in. True. The person that has Jonathan's replica munted hand that I made into a key holder,
Yeah.
a perfect ornament for
The
any
blackmailed
hallway.
us.
Oh, it's lovely. They're coming on. But we can't, it's not a witch hunt because they're bringing it forward. They're
Okay.
returning
Okay,
this.
nice.
And I honestly
Amnesty.
think the person that got it stolen from just left it at the pub,
think
to be
so.
completely
Too
honest. Anyway, that person will be revealed on the bus. What
I
else?
think I think that could be a good trophy for the best player on the ground that day.
Well, no,
And the
it's,
post game,
no, because it belongs to someone.
Oh, does it?
That kid that looks like you from Brisbane.
Well, I think Jack can hand it over. That could be the Neil McDarnham Best Player Award. Could
All right.
get Brownie's munted.
That's a good point.
I'm not sure they'd be that keen on it.
The bus trip home. By the way, you're
I
not
think
surprised.
I'm coming.
Come on, Dog. Can't hold us in suspense.
Jonathan will call Kerry Stokes and say
Yes.
he'll get you fired.
No,
Anyway.
boundary right of the year.
The bus
Let's
trip
go for it.
home, we're going to stop at a pub, surely, right?
I think so.
Absolutely, yep.
Might get bucks on the bus somehow.
That'd be nice.
The other thing, pertinent information. We're doing, roaming Brian, roaming Brody. Oh no, Brody's not going to be there.
I don't know why Brody threw that up. Did you throw that up, or did
I
Brody?
did, and he said yes.
He said yes at the time, and then the other day when we walked out, he said, "I'll see you in about a month's time." He's going to miss Bucks' thing by about 3
It's
days.
not the first time he's dead set lied to us on this podcast, Brody.
Well, what about roaming Brown Dog?
Would you do it, man?
I can roam.
Yeah, great.
Well, he's used
Damn
to
right I
it.
can.
He does the boundary riding. I'm usually sitting up in the warm, air-conditioned...
Yep.
Not warm and air-conditioned doesn't work, but the warm or the air-conditioned boxes upstairs, so I wouldn't know what it's like downstairs.
The very last voicemails you're going to hear on Friday's podcast, but the bus is pretty much full. But now it's time for...
What a world! Harvard morgue manager and associates charged with human trafficking remains sold via Facebook and PayPal. Now, this is hard to believe. A former employee of the Harvard Medical School morgue has been charged with selling human remains from donated bodies and allowing buyers to choose which parts they want.
Dark.
This morgue manager, Cedric Lodge.
Oh.
It's a dodgy name, don't you reckon, Cedric?
It's a creepy
Part
name.
of a massive nationwide network that bought and sold remains from the university from 2018 to 2022, 4 years, right? Him and his wife, Denise Lodge, stole corpses, removed parts of their brains, their heads, their skin, their bones, and sold them to accomplices. They had buyers paying $600, right? Not much.
Not
cheap,
much, eh?
For two
get a
human
top hat.
faces.
Two faces.
Get a top hat for that, okay?
Wait, you said faces, Brown.
Yeah, they removed their faces and then resold them on Facebook. So anyway, they've been charged.
Brings new meaning to Facebook, doesn't
Would
it?
they decompose, though? Like, what would be the point in buying something for...
Brother, you pop it in some vinegar. No.
Vinegar?
No.
Mummified.
Formaldehyde.
Formaldehyde. Does it come mummified?
Yeah, do you get
Brown dog?
Do you get a kit?
Because I would have thought that's a waste of money if it turns out, yes, you get someone's head.
Do you reckon he
but then
sold
at
a
the end of
Put
penis?
it
Skull.
in a solution.
Do you reckon he would have sold a penis?
He would have definitely sold a penis.
Yeah.
So he ended up getting 15 years in jail and $500,000 fine.
Really?
So they've done time. But I just thought, even in death, sometimes you're not safe in this crazy world that we
That's a
live
good
in.
point.
What goes on? What a world.
That's a great way. Great to see you.
Good to be back, lads.
See you on Friday, you sons of bitches.
Boom.
Degenerates.
See you,
Love ya.
degenerates. Love you.